Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Digital Den mini class. This is our part 2 to our Cartoonize Yourself series on Photoshop using filters. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the filter gallery and making our goofy photo that we took from last time that we edited to make ourselves look super wacky and making ourselves look a little bit more like we were hand-drawn. Let's jump into Photoshop. All right, so here we are in Photoshop, and as you can see, I've still got my picture of our wacky self here that we've used from the Liquify filter already pulled up here. So I can turn off that layer to see what we looked like before and now how we look. So definitely more along the lines of cartoony, but let's get into something that looks more hand-drawn of some kind by going into the filter gallery. So making sure we've got our effects layer selected, we're going to click on filters. We're going to come over here to filter gallery, and then we're going to click on poster edges. Okay, so now this filter allows for us to be able to adjust some of the lines in the image and add some dots, basically, that will add a little bit more character to our image here. Now, what I want to do is I'd actually like to get rid of the image thickness entirely, because the thickness here is going to make these lines really intense. We're going to get rid of that. And then intensity, of course, adds to the intensity that they make them very bold on here. So we're actually going to put that down to 0 as well and change the posterization. We're going to change that down to 2. Okay. So now what you're going to see there is you're going to see that a lot of the colors in our picture are going to separate there. We're going to hit OK on that. And that's going to give us almost like a watercolor or some kind of like painted sort of feel a little bit to it. But we've got a lot more filters to be able to add here. We're going to click on filter and we're going to go to sharpen and then unsharp mask here. We're going to change our amount to 90%. We want our radius to be 5% or pixels, 5 pixels. And then our threshold to be 10 levels there. I've done some experimenting with this, and I think that this is a pretty good amount here. Now, you may not have noticed a change, but I've got the preview currently checked. So let's turn that off and then back on again. And you'll look at like the whites of my eyes as well as the light colors of the microphone and my zipper. And I turn those off and you'll see that they're kind of dark, but then I turn them back on. The whites in my eyes have brightened up. The lights on the microphone have brightened up. And if you're wearing bright clothing, like yellows or like a light orange or a white even, that is going to be a lot brighter. So that's going to sell the cartoony feel a lot more. But interestingly, even in my dark apparel, if I turn this preview off, you'll see that the whites, like the bright parts of my jacket, have been muted. But if I turn it back on, it feels a lot brighter. So we're going to click OK on that. And then we're going to add yet another filter. We're going to click up here and we're going to go down to stylize and then the oil paint filter. Now, what this filter does is it really smooths out your picture there. You can see a big change already there. So if I uncheck the preview here and then reapply that, you can see that it is definitely a lot more of a hand-drawn kind of feel to it. Especially my hair looks really well drawn, right? So we've got stylization at 4, cleanliness at 3, scale at 0.1, and bristle detail at 0. Now, most importantly as well, we need to make sure that lighting is unchecked on here, because if we have that checked, it adds some extra brightness to our picture that we don't really need, but that's just a matter of preference. So we're going to click OK on that. And I would say at this point, we're already looking pretty well cartoony, and you're welcome to stop here if you want and say, look, I did it. I look pretty cartoony, but we are not quite done. We actually would like to add another piece to this puzzle here to be able to make it so that we look even more cartoony. So we're going to add some details add some outlines to us so that like my beard looks a little bit like the individual hairs come out a little bit more, more detail in my hair, and a couple of other details around our body there. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this before layer, and then we're going to hit Control J. Now what that's going to do is that's just going to create a duplicate of our layer, and we're going to change the name of this by double clicking it and typing in outlines. Now we're going to drag this all the way to the top of our layers here. Okay. And you'll see we're back to normal the way that I looked when I took this picture. Now what I want to do is I'd like to, another reason why we made everything a smart object is so that we can actually play around with some of the different effects that we've made. If I click on this Liquify layer here and I hold Alt when I click it, I can actually click and drag the Liquify layer up to my outlines layer here. And you can see that the Liquify has now been added there. Now you'll notice that in my picture, the Liquify effect has not been added there. So what we need to do, sometimes Photoshop needs a minute to load up here. So we're going to turn off the Liquify and then turn it back on, and that should do it. There we go. So we're back to that strange looking character that we have here. Okay, so we're going to click on our outlines layer, and we are going to go back up to filter and the filter gallery once again. And we are going to click on this poster edges option once again, but we're actually going to add some more details here. We're going to leave the edge thickness at 0, but we're going to change the intensity to 3. And remember those black dots I was talking about, we're going to put those on there and change the posterization to 6. And you're going to see, we're going to see some kind of smoothing out of the lighting and the coloring as we move that up to 6 there. Okay, so we're going to hit apply. And now that adds like a lot of noise to our picture here, right? Which is quite a bit, but we are not done yet. So we're going to do the same thing like we did before, and we're going to come down to sharpen and unsharp mask. We're actually going, that's a little bit too bright of an addition on there. So we're going to drop the amount down to 60%, threshold down to 5 levels, and keeping the radius there at 5. I'd say that that is a pretty decent amount there. So you can see a little bit of a lighting change there. We're going to hit OK on that. And then we are going to come back up here to filter, over here to stylize, and then oil paint. Now that's going to smooth out all of those outlines there. And you're going to see that keeping everything exactly the same as we had it previously, stylization at 4, cleanliness at 3, scale at 0.1, and bristle details at 0. You're going to see if I turn this on and off, you're going to see all those black lines, and then of course, smoothing all of that out, right? So we're going to hit OK on that. Okay, now that looks pretty good, but that is removing a lot of the effects that we, covering up a lot of the effects that we did earlier in this video. So what we want to do is we want to combine the two. So we're going to click on this drop-down menu here, and it says set the blending mode of the layer. We're going to click on that, and we're going to click on overlay. Now that looks ridiculous, right? This is super bright, like the sun is like right in my face, right? So what we're going to do to be able to desaturate this a little bit is we're going to actually change the opacity to something below like 50%. So as I draw this line down, you can see, how the change in colors in this picture here as I continue to go down. I find that somewhere between like 30 and 40% is usually pretty good. That looks pretty good right there. And I'd say that we're in business here, man. Like this is, we've got a lot of detail going on in my hair and in my beard, a lot of detail on my jacket here that I didn't expect. And we look, we've got some pretty well-defined outlines here. Like if you look around the outside of my hand, we've got like some nice black lines there that we've added from our outlines there. And I would say that we're looking pretty cartoonish. I don't know about you. There are some other things that you can do, like you can actually add another layer and then maybe add the high pass filter from the other function there. But we're getting super complicated at this point, and I feel like we've we've gotten complicated enough for this. So if you've got any other questions about making yourself a cartoon, feel free to stop on by the Digital Den or give us a call, and we'd be happy to be able to help you with your picture to make it as cartoony as you would like. The outlines layer portion of it, I think it adds something special to it. But you don't have to do that. It just feels a little bit more muted without the outlines there, and this feels a little bit more vibrant. So that adds a little bit of something. So if it's easier to do it without the outlines layer, you could do that, and that's not too bad. Of course, the effects that are doing most of the heavy lifting here are the filter gallery, which is going to be the poster edges function there, and then the oil paint function there to smooth out a lot of what's going on in the filter gallery. So if you wanted to make this even easier, you could just by doing exclusively the filter gallery, poster edges, and then the oil paint, and then you would still have a kind of sort of cartoony feel there. Okay, we have a lot more cartoony and fun filters going on coming up in the next episode of Digital Den Mini Class. So stick around for that, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.